Overall, aerodynamics are possibly the most important or one of the most important aspects of going fast or moving efficiently. For example, if you just consider the energy efficiency, if you can do a 40-mile ride on the flats on average ground, what could you achieve by improving aerodynamics of whatever ride you have? Maybe you could gain 20% or even 30%. A 20% gain would be going from 40 to 48. A 30% gain would be going from 40 to 52 miles with the same energy. So stakes are pretty high. We all know about the velomobile. The velomobile is not the topic of this video. Obviously, velomobiles have by far the most aerodynamic design of anything that moves on solid ground. Except for an airplane, I can't think of anything that's more aerodynamic. And that's the direction where everybody else should be heading. Motorcycles, cars, and upright bicycles as well. So short of a velomobile, you have this design of like an extreme lowrider. These are racing recumbent. They don't have a front fairing. I never see a front fairing, even though that would help them even more. And you see how incredibly low they are, and the wheels are also covered with an aerodynamic cover. Now, just to make sure, if anybody says whatever they have built is giving them a 20% or 30% gain in energy efficiency, that has to be taken with a grain of salt, because it depends on the wind, it depends on the speed. You're not going to get that much of a gain cruising at 10 miles an hour. You're going to get more at 15, even more at 20, taking downhills at higher speeds, even more. My problem with this design is that the pressure from pedaling is going to be like a squat. It's going to fall on the shoulder and the very top of the back. And that's not good, because the pressure should fall here onto your hip bone, the strongest, biggest bone in the body, and the lower part of the spine, where the spine is much stronger than the upper part. If you ever look at a cross-section of a spine, you can see that the discs are getting smaller and smaller, the vertebrae are getting smaller and smaller. So you get a lot more strength from here, and you get fatigue and pain if you pressure this part. This bike is also going to be a very lousy climber. Going downhill, yeah, it's going to kill most anything. But going uphill, it's going to be absolute hell to do this. And even on the flats, it's not going to be that great. So here you can see another one of these lowriders. This is a typical design, very uncomfortable, very narrow, incredibly aerodynamic, and because of the carbon fiber composites, it's also very light. But interestingly enough, it does not have a front fairing item. And you see, it goes really fast. Even on the flats, although it's going to take some time for you to speed up, because you really don't have that much power to pedal. And they are not showing the uphills, or the uphills are not going to be very rosy. Here he is trying to pass the road bikes. On the flats, he's going to pass them, and on the downhill, he's probably going to make them look ridiculous. But look, he's not very much quicker than the road bikes. This road looks like a slight uphill, and that's the reason why. So the road has to change into a downhill, which it seems to be, and that's where you see the real advantage of this design. I mean, he doesn't even have to pedal much to go this fast. And here is an upright recumbent. This is the Lightning bicycle. This is a much better design in my opinion. Yes, it has a lot more air drag. You have a much taller profile, but look at how your legs are pressing against the lower back and the hip bone. So you can exert a lot more power. Perhaps I mentioned this before, but I cannot squat even my body weight, whereas I can do 3 times my body weight on the leg press machine. That's because when you're squatting, your pressure is mostly here. It pressures the tiniest of the vertebrae in the spine. It's outright dangerous, and you cannot push that much. Then even the road bike is a better option, because the road bike can go up to body weight, when you stand up on an upright bike, you're basically using your body weight. So whatever you weigh, 150, 180, 200 pounds, that's what you're going to get. With this kind of a setup, you can press against the pedals, I'm willing to bet, at over 400 pounds. I think my record in the gym years ago when I had a gym membership was 460 pounds, which is way heavier than I am. I weigh 150 pounds. So a little over 3 times my body weight. And you see this guy is going to pass them. And on the flats and on the downhills, he's still using this much, much greater force than his body weight. And he's lower than this guy. This guy is trying to struggle, but he already has body weight, and not even the full body weight, because part of his body weight is really resting on the front arms. So yeah, getting a recumbent is great. And if you can get a fully faired recumbent two-wheeler, that's the greatest. In fact, this is going to go faster than a 3-wheel velomobile because you don't get as much rolling resistance with only 2 wheels. Plus, you have the advantage of being able to take out this fabric part, remove everything, and put it in the elevator and keep it in an apartment. That's not so easy to do with a velomobile. But in any case, this video is not about the velomobiles. A number of people have tried to convert upright bikes into somewhat of an upright velomobile. They are not necessarily the most attractive innovations, but they give you some weather protection and they do improve your speeds. They do improve it. However, a professional solution is probably the best way to go. Here is Mr. Alex Moulton decades ago, already decades ahead of where we are in 2024. Even now, most upright bicycles do not offer this. I mean, what a gift. This is going to protect you in windy and wet weather to some extent, even if you're not fully covered. And on the flats and on the downhills, you're going to get a major gain from this because this is smooth and it's going to divert the air all around you rather than for the air to get stuck in your jacket and your collar and everything, which is going to be much worse. If you're interested, you can actually buy this fairing if you have an Alex Moulton bicycle. It is not impossible to attach it to a different bike. Obviously, you have a setup here, so there's an attachment here. Everything is set up so that it would attach to this front part and a little bit to the frame as well. But if you have a Brompton, you have the big bag attachment in the front, and I've been thinking perhaps you could attach something there. Maybe not the zipper, but something. And then there are these really edgy racing experiments, which were done, not surprisingly, by the Moulton Company, and they were done decades ago. I'm giving you links to everything below, so check out the resources. This is an article of what they did with this styrofoam creation. It actually looks very much like a sports motorcycle. It's heading in that same direction. Because what else can you do? They have already figured it out. If you have an upright two-wheeler, the only thing you can really do is something like this. Create a beak sort of thing that cuts into the air and try to control the turbulence in the back, which is actually more significant. That's why you see so many recumbents with a rear aerodynamic box, but nothing in the front, because the rear is actually more, the turbulence behind you is going to suck you back more than the air resistance in the front. Of course, it's best to have them both. And we know that the current Moulton record with the fully faired Moulton is 52 miles an hour. So you're wondering, what if I can build something, maybe not to go 52 miles an hour, if I can do half of that, if I could pedal with medium effort at 25 miles an hour, I would be the king of the road on my Brompton or Birdie. Now here I'm going to show you a really interesting homemade design. Check out this guy. This is a road bike, all right? And it is followed and filmed or recorded by another road bike. But this road bike has a homemade full fairing that covers the entire thing. People ask him in the description, and I'm giving you a link, you can comment as well, how in the world do you get into this thing? And he said that he made a gate. It looks like the whole thing is made out of some kind of a cardboard or something. So he made a gate, some kind of a flap that's attached by Velcro or something. So just to take a close-up look, you can see how primitively built it is. This is something anybody could build. You could build it out of Amazon boxes if you really wanted to. It probably would not look much worse. And he managed to even cover the rear wheel a little bit. I would have covered the spokes in the front wheel as well, just to make it perfect. But you know, maybe this is his first attempt. And I don't think he's any fitter than the guy who's following him. But he's moving faster. It looks like he's moving at about 20 miles an hour. And the one recording in the back, maybe at 17, 16, something like that. You can see his brakes here. This is a road bike also. And I don't think it's physical fitness that's causing him to go so much faster. And consider how much of a weather protection he's getting. He could, so long that the weather is dry, he could be out almost any time year-round, anywhere in a temperate climate. Now here's an even more interesting build. This is built out of probably also cardboard, but a lot of tape as well. This looks like some kind of an electric tape or pipe tape, and he covered the whole thing with it. It's not the most environmentally friendly way to build it. Look what he has built. He even inserted a bit of see-through plastic so that he has a kind of a front cockpit. This is what it looks like. It's not a beautiful machine for sure, but you get front fairing and you get rear protection as well. Front fairing and rear protection. So it's not beautiful, but you are getting everything you need. And he has built several of them. Obviously this is a cardboard, some kind of a packaging board or cardboard box thing using electric tape. The whole thing could be done for $10. And the question is, how much of a gain do you have with this? And he's giving us some numbers which are very interesting. But that also depends upon your speed. So don't expect some kind of an earth-shaking gain traveling at 12 miles an hour. In my measurements, I have a big heavy front bag on my Brompton. The front bag means that once I get to about 13 miles an hour, I start slowing down because of pushing the air. So if you don't have that big bag, maybe it's 15 or 16. So it says he's 20% faster while pedaling 30 or 40% less often. Whatever that means, what does it mean? So it's not very precise. He's pedaling less often. But 30% if you go relatively fast is not an unreasonable guess. Also, if you have headwinds, it's going to be even more than that. You can increase your riding range by 25%. That would mean going from a 50-mile ride to over 60. 62 and a half to be specific. He's talking about a 35-mile-an-hour crash he had because of the side winds. You have to be really careful about the side winds if you have fairing, even if you just have your wheels with the disc in it, because side winds can really knock you down. So once you drive with the fairing, you know that you're not going back. There's no turning back, and that's what he's stating at the end. But then if you look at the video, he's really trying to establish a speed record. So it's going really fast. Obviously, this is not some kind of a touring or commuting posture or speed. But he got it up. Look, he got it up to 36 miles an hour with this thing. And then he modified it, and he got 44 miles an hour on it downhill with an average of 40. Well, we're getting actually pretty close to what the Moulton team achieved decades ago when they set up that record of 52 miles an hour. So this is something to try out. And this is all I have for the current video. If you have something lightweight, that's great for climbing for the most part. Doesn't mean that much on the flats, and lightweight is actually a negative on downhills. The fastest way to go on a downhill is to be as heavy as you can be with good aerodynamics. I'll see you in the next video.